Welcome back to one's journey of unwinding the mind and, of course, your daily microdose. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out at all on your daily microdose. Now, tune in to the latest episode of One's Journey. I'm super excited for today's video because it will blow your mind. So today's video is essentially WTF is this place? How did we get here? Who created it? And yeah, the foundation for it all, the foundation for where we are at, what we are looking at, my body, your body, all the things is what we are going to talk about today. Again, I want to remind you that the basis of my beliefs have been derived from a compilation of Gary Renard's writings, A Course in Miracles, The Holographic Universe, Quantum Theory, Brene Brown, Ram Dass, as well as a multitude of other thought leaders, personal mentors, and my own personal journey. So let's get started. Let's start out with the question of who created this place? Guess what? We did. That's right, we did. This may come as an unpopular belief because for so long, at least myself was told that God created this. And I'll be honest with you, I struggled with that explanation. And the reason why I struggled is because for a long time, I went to church when I was younger, and I got back into church again a couple times in my adulthood. And we're always told that God is this like perfect, loving being, and he created this messed up, unloving, corrupt place. It just never added up in my mind. If he was truly so loving and so perfect, why is this world, this universe so imperfect if he created it, right? Well, I'm here to say he didn't create it. No, he created you, right? Not your body, but you. But not this illusion. It has all been a projection of your own mind. Yeah, the ego belief system part of the mind projected this to, again, run away from what created this in the first place, which I'm going to share again how I best explain it to myself, right? Because this stuff is hard to wrap your freaking mind around, and it's hard to explain it as well. But we're going to do the best we can. So I'm so grateful to have you along for the ride. But again, kids get curious, take things for granted, right? So here we are, this kid, and we see how amazing dad is and the things he can create and all that. And for a second, we think, what if we created our own world? What if we created our own creation? And in that split second, so much occurred. All of this that we're experiencing right now occurred. Is that not crazy? But it's true. So essentially, in that moment, we became filled with shame and guilt. But consciousness needed to be created in order to experience that shame and guilt, right? Because experience can only occur if there's something else, right? I can only experience you if there's me, blah, blah, all like we talked about before about the tree falling in the woods, right? Does it make a noise if no one's there to hear it? Well, no, right? Because there's no receiver. So the consciousness was created so that we could observe and we could feel the shame and guilt. And then from consciousness was split into the ego. The ego was created, and that was the belief system that we created based on the shame and guilt of that initial thought of separation from God, from our dad. And I see the ego as the guy with the van with the French fries and the puppies and the lollipops. Like, hey, come with me. We've already ran away, so we think we're going to get in even more trouble. So the ego provides us with this grand illusion of shiny objects, right? The lollipop, the French fries, the puppy dog. And we're like, okay, yeah, dad's super mad at us. And if I go with this guy, Like, I can hide from dad and not experience the wrath that I believe is coming for me. So we go with the ego, and then the ego creates the body. And because we had consciousness, we can experience, consciousness caused us to move from the creator to the experiencer, right? So it split perception, it created perception, right? So we move from a creator to a perceiver, an experiencer. And so then now we're in this illusion experiencing what is just a projection of the initial shame and guilt we felt, right? So we're here hiding out and we think that dad is super pissed at us. So this belief that this projection is continuously reiterating the shame and guilt that we initially felt. It's a constant reminder. Think about when you get upset with someone. Actually, what it's about is the initial shame and guilt. That is what is happening here. Because also think of it, so we created the ego, right? That created this illusion that has trapped us from realizing where we actually are. And it's really hard to quit listening to that because we created it. So it's kind of like if a parent has a child and that child does some really messed up crap and is really impacting the parent's life to the point that it's awful. But you could still ask that parent to abandon their child, and most likely they wouldn't because they made their child, right? So we know the ego's effing up our life and totally messing it up and making us believe things that are not true and causing pain and suffering and death and separation on a day-to-day, second-to-second basis. But we created it, right? So it's really hard to walk away and to stop listening, right? So essentially, that's who created this place and what this place is just an illusion, is a projection. We are actually not here. Wherever you are sitting right now, watching this video is the same exact space I'm sitting in because we are only one mind. It's just you're experiencing a different angle of the hologram of this projected illusion. So it is all an illusion that was created due to the thought of the initial separation from God out of a state of fear and shame and guilt that welled up in us and caused a split for us to move from the creator to the perceiver that then perceived, oh crap, look how scary this is. This is even worse. Let's run. So we created the ego to project out of us all that was within. And us is one mind projecting into many bodies. That is how we all have access to the same knowledge, because we are truly only one mind, one ego. And again, the ego is a belief system. So the ego offered us this place to hide from God and the illusion. And the body then was created for the ego to control and keep us in the illusion, right? And then we continuously, in the illusion, death occurs, right? Everything dies or decays. It has some sort of shelf life. I think the only thing closest to not having a shelf life is honey, maybe, but it has an eventual shelf life because that is the basis of this illusion. We appear to die, right? But if this is an illusion, the body is what dies. We are eternal beings. We are an eternal being that cannot die. Death does not occur. So what happens is we keep coming back to practice forgiveness lessons. Forgiveness is the only way out of this illusion. So if we want to get back to God, and it's not about physically getting back to God, we are at home with God. He has no clue that we are in this ego illusion because he did not create it, right? He is a perfect being. And if he were to acknowledge this illusion, that would make him imperfect, and he is not. Again, this is not exactly what it is, but this is how I explain it and wrap my mind around it. Is imagine that you have a child, right? And they're in bed sleeping, and you're standing at the door trying to wake them up with the song very quietly. But in fact, in that bed, they are having the worst dream they have ever had in their entire life. They are having a nightmare, and it is horrific, and it is nothing like their actual reality. But you have no clue because you're not in that dream with them. That is essentially what is going on right now. And God is trying to slowly wake us up with this song that we can actually hear while we're here in the dream. And that is the Holy Spirit, right? So we're kind of venturing off onto some other really deep topics that will be covered in other videos as well. But essentially, we came to this video to know, what the heck is this place? How did we get here? And who created this place? So at the simplest form, WTF is this place? It's an illusion. It's a projection of the mind. How did we get here? Because of the split-second thought of separation, then split into consciousness, which split into the ego and the Holy Spirit. And then who created this place? Our belief system through the ego to project the shame and guilt externally outside of us. So thank you so much for diving deep today and coming along with me here at Be Me, Big Miracle Energy. We're all about uncovering truth to get to our most authentic self, to hear that voice of the Holy Spirit, to get our butts back home through forgiveness and true life lessons. So please share what you thought about this video. If you have further questions about me diving deep, these topics are out of this world, right? They're not of this illusion. They are far beyond. So sometimes the illusionary words that were created by the ego don't always quite add up in explaining it. So please ask questions. I can come back and add some extra videos to dig even deeper, but I promise you, this will not be the first or the last video that we talk about WTF is this place? How did we get here? And who created this place? As always, until next time, remember you are worth it. I am so grateful for you. Love you tons and see you soon.